Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
And Roughie's Football Show. It is Monday. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Barry Ferguson and Alison McConnell. Great to have your company with us on the show, sponsored by Arnold Clark, Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock on Facebook and, of course, also on YouTube as well. Thank you very much to, would you believe it, Craig Lindsay, I think, was first on. He's always one of our top fans. Lee Shanley as well, closely following him. Jerry McCann, Alec Kelly, Una Brennan, Lindsay Buchanan, and John McKenzie, to name but a few, who are here with us today. And I'm going to give a mention out to a few people. First of all, Brian in Lake Como in Italy, who's bid £25,000, and Barry is still struggling to remember the guy who he met at a Rangers function one night, and I think you were 3 sheets to the wind, Barry, but he remembers you well, told you were going to be Rangers captain, and he's bid £25,000, and I think next Monday, Barry, hopefully you and I will have a wee chat with him.
Yeah, no, listen, Peter, I mean, he bid 25,000 to go to the NHS Scotland is a phenomenal, gesture for the guy. Unbelievable. But I'll be honest with you, I can't remember him, but hopefully we get on and have a chat with him and I'll remember his face. But as I say, really generous from him at this time, 25,000 going to a great cause.
Yeah, well done to you for the gesture in the first place. The only thing now is I have to work out how the hell we're going to get the frame strip off you and then over to the UPS man to post it. Anyway, because Brian's not coming home to Scotland anytime soon. So we're going to have to send it out to Italy. But he's really looking forward to it. I can tell you he's high as a kite. Nicky Twig is a regular. I'm going to give Nicky a mention as well. He was desperate, Roughie, to win the competition, to go to Manchester for Man City against Real Madrid. He didn't quite win the competition, but he's a regular on the Facebook and of course on YouTube. And Alan Duff is someone that Alison knows. He's 50 today. Alison, can you give us a wee bit of background about Alan Duff and how you know him?
I actually know his brother. I don't know Alan. His brother was one of my son's football coaches. So he asked if Alan would very kindly give him a shout out to say happy birthday, because I think Alan was his first footballing hero. I think his dad's friend was a physio and somehow got a pair of gloves that were Alan's and passed them on to him. So I think as a wee boy, Alan was his first footballing idol.
Go on, Roughie.
Well, it's always good to wish somebody a happy birthday who's got a good judge of footballers. I would. It must, and I hope you have a really good night and enjoy yourself and just have a wonderful time or a wonderful day.
Yeah, magic. Actually, lots of people sending us in requests. We'll try and get through as many as possible. And lots of people coming from near and far. I've got to mention the fact Joe Parker, Thomas McGee, and Nicky Twig says, "Hi, Alison." Not a mention for the rest of us. Just hi, Alison. Yeah, no wonder Barry's going.
Wonder if we also met at a bar one night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as long as you didn't meet him in the toilets, we're all right. Anyway, apart from that, Tony Reynolds, William Beck, Jim McBride, lots of people joining us on Facebook and YouTube. I'll give a lot of mentions out to some of the people there in just a few seconds. We've got a one-to-one with Harold Bratback, who's now an airline pilot, would you believe? I had a chat with Harold earlier. We'll hear from him. We'll also look at the last line of our defence, Roughie. We're picking from 10 Scottish goalkeepers and 10 foreign goalkeepers over the last 20 years to finally get our team completed. And there's a few belters in there, Roughie, I'm sure. We'll maybe twig your memory on a few of the names that you've forgotten about.
Yeah, I think not only the Old Firm had quality goalkeepers, but Aberdeen and the likes, had a lot of, and Hearts as well, had a lot of good goalkeepers since that time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they are.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned some of the goalkeepers out with the Old Firm, because we have been getting pelters for missing out on the odd one or two from other clubs. But it's very difficult, Barry, because quite simply, usually some of the best players over a sustained period end up playing for Celtic and Rangers, it has to be somebody really special that emerges.
Yeah, they might start off at an Aberdeen, a Hearts or a Hibs, but normally when they do so well at their clubs, a Rangers or Celtic snap them up. But that's coming for Tam last week. He was moaning his face off about Sosie not being in the foreign defenders. But as you rightly says, I think he only played 28 games or something. Is that not right?
Once it hit 2000, he was more prominent just before that. But once it hit 2000, his appearances started to become fewer. And then he really wouldn't have been in the category, Gary. So I think, Barry, it would be unfair to put him in.
Mm-hmm. But listen, what a player he was. He had a fantastic career, but that's typical Tam moaning.
Yeah. John Taylor has said this, and I kid you not, lads, I'm trying to the best of my ability, Roughie, to run every day a 5K, which is proving unbelievably difficult, I have to tell you. And John Taylor says, Peter, was that you jogging through Ravenscraig on Saturday in the middle of the road? I nearly took you out in the car. Come on, the Motherwell. Well, I'll tell you right now, the reason why I was jogging... Let me tell you the reason why I was jogging in the middle of the road? Because I am actually paying attention to the rules issued by the government and the health officials, which is basically this safe distance between people. And I don't know if you've mentioned, by the way, guys, but see, every time you run, because you're breathing heavily, you're aware of the backdraft of maybe some of your, just droplets of water going behind you. I'm obsessed with this now. I don't want to infect anybody or be infected. Is that wrong, Baz? I'm running in the middle of the road to get out of people.
I know. I know the boy says I was worried about his car hitting you. No, you getting hit.
And why is he on the motorway at a mile and going at 1 mile an hour? That's not you.
Honestly, I knew I was going to get pelters for it. Anyway, lots of people.
That's a fair run, Peter. Where are you running?
Do you want me to tell you something from the, I don't want to give you the exact location of the village because somebody will eventually run me over for reasons that you know only too well. I'm not the most likeable guy, but nevertheless, I'm running from the top of the village right across the Ravenscraig Road to the Motherwell to where Fir Park is, and then back because Des McKeown gave us a challenge for the NHS. And, every time I run it, if I don't run it first thing in the morning, the sun comes up, gets hot, and I'm breathing, as Roughie says, well out of my back end. So, nevertheless, it's every day if I can manage it. So, the other thing I was going to say to you guys, just before we get into what I call the unsavoury stuff, is here's the quiz for you today. Okay, we'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Greg Stott, just incidentally on YouTube, has said, I first met Barry Ferguson as a young lad in a pre-season friendly in Belfast in summer 1997, Crusaders versus Rangers, and I've been a huge fan ever since. All the best. So it's always nice to get as many messages and nice ones as we possibly can through to this. Okay, now... let's get into this, and I'm going to make this statement because I think it probably needs to be made. Just incidentally, we were going to have a one-to-one with a Welsh MP who's a massive Celtic fan who was going to bring a motion to Parliament, but we decided against it because it's not really anything to do with MPs. The situation in Scottish football, Ali, just a wee bit of topical stuff there to keep us all going. But I'm going to talk about the situation here with Rangers. I do think, I don't want to make it about Rangers, but I do think when you look at the madness and the poison that's been spewed and all the stuff that's going on with all the clubs, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel embarrassed at the way Scottish football is conducting itself at the moment. And again, instead of us trying to isolate, get angry, fall out with certain clubs, I do think it needs somebody, a leader, to bring all the clubs together instead of this constant bickering and infighting and conspiracy theories and coercion and bullying at a time when people are losing their lives and clubs and businesses could actually fold. We are witnessing a situation here where it's just constantly arguing and catcalling and fighting with each other. I don't know about you, Alison McConnell, but I'm embarrassed with the conduct of Scottish football.
I know exactly what you're saying. I don't know if I would go so far as to say I'm embarrassed because I've been 20 years in the business, so I've seen all kinds of things like this. But what I would say is I find it exhausting. I think what's come through in the last 5 or 6 weeks is a real lack of leadership, a lack of direction. I understand it's very difficult to make decisions at this time when there are no obvious answers to some questions, but the lack of cohesion from the governing bodies, I think, is poor. I think the Deloitte information that came out on Friday probably raised more questions than it did answers. If Rangers have evidence of wrongdoing, I can understand that they feel as though it's not been addressed. So I think it's time now to present that and make it known what the grievance was. But the governing body is there to govern. It has to make decisions that are difficult, and it has to offer some kind of path out of this, and it has to shed a wee bit of light of how we get out the tunnel and where it goes from here. And I just don't think we've had that. I think we've been bogged down in internal bickering and squabbling. And I also think it doesn't help when you have so many governing bodies rather than one governing body for the entirety of the game itself.
Yeah, over and above that, I want to get your thoughts on it as well, Barry, but Rangers say they will produce the evidence for an independent investigation. I knew the other investigation was not going to satisfy anyone. I knew we were going to get to another statement coming from Rangers. So in this case, they need to provide proof of clubs being bullied. I wonder if Stuart Robertson should be on the SPFL board to discuss the matter, because obviously you don't want to mark your own homework if you do produce the evidence. But for this investigation to go through, 3 clubs have to then get a general meeting of all 42 clubs. 32 out of the 42 have to vote in favour for it to pass to get an independent investigation. So that's where we're at. And I also think that somewhere along the line, we need to get the evidence of the screen grabs of WhatsApp, which suggest that threats were made to certain chairman, chief executive, owners of clubs about the way they were going to handle their vote. Now, I don't know about you, Barry, but for me, to solve things, I think there needs to be an olive branch, there needs to be communication and discussion. But we're not getting that. This is just dragging on in the middle of a virus which is killing lots of people.
Yeah, look, Peter, see if they've got the evidence. Just get it. Let's get it out in the open on the table, and then we see what it's saying or what the evidence is. Is this not a time for everybody to try and get together and try and get a solution to come out of this? As you mentioned, there's worse things happening. There's more important things happening in the world. Now, this is the best time for everybody to get together and move forward and move Scottish football forward. Now, if Rangers have got the evidence, what clearly it looks to me if they have, let's get it out in the open and let's get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an indication. I mean, we've just mentioned that piece there, Roughie, within 2 seconds. And this is only from fans. And I know some fans that we deal with are slightly unhinged. But, we've got... And I'm not suggesting the ones I'm reading out are unhinged. You can make your own mind up on their opinion. But John McLean says Rangers are a disgrace to the game of football. And lots of people are saying, Dean Leslie says, kick Rangers out of Scottish football. Now, my attitude, Roughie, is, this is a Rangers football club who are in dispute constantly with the BBC, the major broadcaster in Scotland. They haven't remedied that. That's a major fallout. They are disliked by a lot of clubs in Scotland, for various reasons. Now, if I was, excuse me for the coughing there, but if I was involved in any group that was leading Scottish football, I would start to make moves to put the past behind you and start to put an olive branch out that brings the clubs closer together, and I would make a special move towards Rangers to say, stop this. Let's end the feud. Let's move on. Let's all get back in together for the good of the game. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to an English league. They're not going anywhere in the Premier League. Let's all work together. And I'd start with Rangers and say, look, forget the conspiracy theories. Forget about all the gripes and the fighting about clubs or figureheads that you want maybe to lose their job. Let's move forward from this line in the sand in a very difficult situation for the country. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
If you want to resolve any problems with people, you cannot keep looking back the way and try and get somebody in the future for what happened before.
Yeah, but I think Barry's hit it on the head. Rangers have either got something or they've not got something. If they've got something, then we all have to look at it and the clubs have to look at it. If they haven't got anything and it turns out to be a whimsical fancy, they are going to be the laughingstock of Scottish football. So I would like to think that whatever they're going to release to all the clubs is going to be something that we all can look at and then we can move on and get it done and dusted and get it out the window, or let's look at it and deal with it and then move on. But for me, this, as you touched it in the beginning of the show, I think now the supporters of clubs and the general public are now realising why our Scottish game does not move forward. Because everything that's going on in the background, all the phone calls and everything they're all deciding and carving up, that is why our game is such a mess behind the scenes.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Roughie. Ali, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what is the end game? Now, I'm talking about from a Rangers perspective. Is it to get the head of Neil Doncaster for whatever reason? Because they feel as if he's, whatever he's been doing in the background is improper. I don't know. Is that the end game? Is the end game to stop the early call of 9 in a row? I don't know. Is the end game to prove that the SPFL has corruption in it? Now, I am not denying Rangers the right to question it because, the media, everybody has the right to question things. And I'm not against them getting another independent investigation. Let's get it. But I still believe that for us to move forward, we've got to build bridges with Rangers, with other clubs, and to stop this. It's embarrassing. And as Roughie said, everybody's still arguing over self-interest and the game's collapsing.
Absolutely. I think whatever the outcome is, wherever we are in 6 months' time, there's a real sour taste that will linger after this in the back of what happened over the last fortnight. I have to be honest and say I don't know what Rangers' endgame is. I think it's multifaceted. I don't think it's a single entity. I think their frustration rose initially from the fact that the vote didn't go the way that they had wanted, that the portents all pointed towards an early call coming, which obviously would have awarded Celtic a 9th successive title. I think Stephen Gerrard was right when he spoke at the weekend and said that the vast majority of players and coaches don't want to call it. I agree. I don't think they do want to call it. However, what I would say is I just don't know where the avenue is to complete it. I speak as someone who's a freelance football writer. I would be the biggest cheerleader for playing out games because it's costing me money. But by not having them played, I have no agenda to lobby for an early call. I just don't see, if you're being realistic, I just don't see the possibility of how you would complete the campaign as it stands. So I think that was the first irritation and frustration came on the back of the vote. I think there's a simmering feud has gone on between Rangers and Neil Doncaster for a long time. If there is evidence of impropriety or wrongdoing and we see it, then we all have a judgment to make on the back of it. But until we see it, it's very, very difficult to make that decision and to say what it is that they want.
Yeah, I would not deny, Barry, Rangers an investigation if they have the proof and if they've got the backing of the clubs for that investigation. So, let's get on with it. On this programme, I can only speak for the pundits that we have on here. You can have your say, but there is no agenda with regards to Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, anybody. I mean, if anything, we're trying to call each piece of information that we know about as fact as quickly as we can and as honestly and as open as we can. I don't think they'll get a ball kicked. Now, subsequently over the weekend, Barry, again, things can move, things can change. Leanne Dempster has said maybe there is an opportunity to complete the season, obviously without fans, because that's just not possible. I'm more hopeful in the last week than I have been in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Now, this is Leanne Dempster. Now, I thought about this at the weekend and I thought, is she privy to something that we're not? I'm looking and reading and scouring everything to see if there's been a move. And some European leagues hope to restart in the summer. They hope to. They are continually saying there is, at this moment, there are talks going on across Europe to say no fans will get in, but we might play them behind closed doors. Now, that may be the small thread that Leanne Dempster and others are holding on to, Barry. If there is a chance behind closed doors, play them. But I can't see it. Can you?
No, I can't, Peter. I says to you, unless every single player who's going to play in the behind closed door games is tested, i.e. the staff as well, and the people who have got to be into the stadium have got to be tested, then I think there's an opportunity, but I think that's going to be impossible. I do. I don't think there's going to be any football played. I keep hearing that. I'm actually getting sick of it. As we keep on harping on in this station every single time. People are dying still every day. Hundreds of people are still dying. What's more important? People's health. So until that settles down a bit, which I don't see happening for another month or two, then we can maybe start talking about football. But I made a point on Friday, Peter. What if you go back and one of your players passes it on to somebody else, they go back and they pass it on to one of their family, i.e. their parents or grandparents, something happens, how are you going to feel as a manager?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of the countries that are beyond our curve, Alison. I'm talking about the virus, and they're saying they're beyond the curve. The deaths are reducing. The people who are being infected and admitted to hospital has reduced. And they're now saying, okay, if we get to June, then suddenly you might have a situation where there would be 400 people maximum at any given game. And that includes media who are allowed in. That's the way they're looking at each individual game behind closed doors.
It's interesting, and I initially thought that would be the way it would pan out. After Nicola Sturgeon's comments last week, I'm not so sure that is the way. But what you have to remember too is, if you're looking at the likes of Germany's testing levels are far, far, far superior to anything that we have had here in Scotland or in the UK. They have been testing people right, left and centre from the very earliest days of the virus. So that was the very first way in which they sought to contain it. I spoke to Eric Sviatchenko last week. Denmark too are one of the countries which have spoken about playing games behind closed doors and exploring avenues to try and involve fans outside the stadium. But again, they locked down very, very quickly. Testing was available. I think the fact that we've not tested as many people as we should have. Testing kits haven't been readily available. I think we've probably got no idea of what the true numbers of the virus actually are. So I think it makes it difficult for us to even look towards that as an escape mechanism, to think, okay, it's plausible for us to look at behind closed doors games. I just don't think it is at the minute.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ali, because I've written down here on my notes, the English Premier League, Roughie, are planning a resumption of the season on June the 8th behind closed doors. And the sticking point they have at the moment is there's a lack of tests available.
Yeah, it's as Alison said, it's going to cost a lot of money. You know, the English clubs might have it. I read another one that if they do move on to behind closed doors, they're going to get both sets of teams and put them in a hotel, one on one side and one on the other, and they're going to stay there and all that. I mean, it's unbelievable the lengths that they're trying to go to get the football done, and we all know why, because of the vast amount of money that they're going to get. But some of the stuff, it would have to be. I've said it all along, I don't think they can do anything until the Medical Association make the call. I think it's a health association, doctors, scientists, whatever, will make the call in football. I don't think it'll be football people. They might think they're going to do it, but if there isn't a stringent, anything in order that, as Barry said, then this is not going to be passed on, because we keep talking about a second wave. Now, unless you can really 100% guarantee that that's not going to happen, nothing's going to happen. So it's going to have to come from the people who know, nothing to do with football.
Yeah, okay.
Peter, I watched a bit of the Premier League. Were saying that if they do get back to playing behind closed doors, they're actually thinking of playing the games at St George's Training Centre. Some of the games. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's called desperation. It's called desperation, Barry, to work out how they can distribute the money without losing millions with the TV. Honestly, this is the whole thing. Never mind football, but the difficulty, and this is the difficulty. Thank God I'm not in government, but the difficulty is how to get an economy moving without being open to the criticism of people losing their lives. And this is the big balancing act that people have been talking the last couple of days, that England could slowly open up their doors to people moving about, and then Scotland has a different policy. Who knows? I don't want to get into it in a political sense, because we're a football show and we like to talk about what it means for us. So with that in mind, incidentally, lots of people are saying that they feel as if my asthma is getting really bad, but it's not. It's Barry takes a deep breath when he's hacked off. And he does it every now and then.
I'm sick of
people talking about wanting football back when there's people, hundreds and hundreds of people dying every day.
I know.
There's going to be a lot of heavy breathing for Barry when you start talking about 14.
Don't
get me started.
And by the way, I get absolute pelters because the guy who's the producer here, and everybody says, "Oh, it's you because you're breathing heavily," and I'm thinking, it's not me, it's Darth Vader Ferguson who just goes. I'm waiting. The only thing missing is you saying to me, "I am your father, Luke. I am your father." So
here,
anyway,
let's go on to the subject of 314s. It's a disgrace.
All right, hold on. I'll tell you what. Let me play the proposal first, which Anne Budge obviously and that new task committee are faced with here. Have a look at this.
Hearts owner Anne Budge, who is the co-chair of the SPFL Reconstruction Task Force, has outlined two possible options for rebuilding the leagues. One will see the current 42 teams remain, with 3 divisions of 14 clubs, meaning no relegation but also no promotion for Cove Rangers, League 2 champions. The other option still has a 14-team top flight, but keeps the 3 divisions of 10 sides below it. The top 2 clubs in each league would be promoted, no one would be relegated, and the Highland and Lowland League champions would come up to make up the numbers in League 2.
Barry, what do you make of it?
Option 1, I don't like, obviously, because it'll deny yourselves and Brora the chance of getting up. Now, I thought about a couple of phone calls over the weekend from the general manager explaining what has been put forward. And obviously I've seen that the League 2, all of the League 2 teams, apart from Cove, I think, and somebody else, had voted for something different, not the 14, 14 and 14. Now, my take on it is, Peter, they don't want teams like ourselves or Bonnyrigg or Brora or a BSE in our league, Spartans, because I think we'll leapfrog them. You see what's happened with Cove Rangers over the past season, winning the league. Edinburgh City come up for the Lowland League, are sitting towards the top of the League 2 challenging. So that's my take on it. In terms of attendances, we would overtake them in that as well. So for me, I look at it, I think a pyramid system in Scotland is pointless. It's pointless having a pyramid system below the SPFL. Pointless.
Because you can't get in.
Yeah, and it's so difficult for the Lowland League teams and the Highland League teams to get in, because obviously if you win the league, we have got to play each other in a playoff game, the Lowland League and Highland League, and then the winner of that obviously plays the bottom of League 2 to try and get in. So they make it so difficult as it is to get in, and my opinion is these clubs don't want teams like Kelty Hearts or Bonnyriggs or BSCs or Broras coming into the league, because we would challenge them and probably overtake them or leapfrog them.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Alison, because I'm told that a number of the League Two clubs reckon they want 14-14-14, which backs up what Barry's saying.
Exactly what I was just about to say. It's we're talking about people voting for self-interest, and you're absolutely right. Why would you leave the trap door open, so to speak? If you're going to take out, if you're in League Two and you've got a vote, you're going to shut the door so that no one's dropping any further out.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. You can give us your thoughts on it. And I will offer my apologies to a number of people who have basically sent some long texts, some long emails, and some long messages across all our social media. Very difficult for us to actually try and highlight all the different permutations that people are suggesting. And I may add some very, very good suggestions on league reconstruction, how it works, how it operates, and it's all detailed. But for me to dedicate one individual on this show would take a long time, and I'm sure, as you would agree, it's not the most entertaining of subjects on this one. We're going to leave it to them to see where they go with it, and then we will analyse whether there will be a pyramid system, whether Barry and, of course, Brora Rangers will get in or not. All that will become apparent once we get to a vote on it anyway. So with that in mind, couple of things I want to read out, and then we'll get on to Harold Bratback. We had a chat with Harold, and I'm trying to get your mate. Can you give him a call and just put the squeeze on him? I think we're going to have Kevin Thompson tomorrow, Barry, so just you make sure he turns up in time. This is the fourth time I've been on his case, you know. He's now...
He owes me a favour.
Oh, well, any chance of pulling it in, by the way? Just get... He said to me this...
I done a favour for him, that off-the-wall challenge, so...
yeah.
I'll text him when I come off the show and say
just
that
he did.
Has he not answered your phone?
No, I've spoken to him. He said yes, he's on tomorrow, but I just want you to put a little squeeze on him. You're the midfielder that can call the shots. I know you were a nasty so-and-so when you were in the middle of the park, so just give him the
You
word.
change as you get older, Peter. You change as you get older.
Brilliant. I actually didn't. Off the park, I didn't think you were nasty at all, but on the park, you were a winner. Incidentally, Jim O'Neill, and I'm going to read out a few because I think it's only right and proper on this show. We try and give the reflection of the fans. Jim O'Neill says, Rangers have done absolutely nothing wrong. The SPFL denied Rangers' resolution because of one word. They then called an incomplete ballot, having discussed the votes with other clubs, which is an allegation, Jim. We haven't got the Stonewall certainty on that. They allowed Dundee to change a vote, which was already cast. Absolutely no transparency. Rangers are completely in the right. The whole thing stinks, says Jim O'Neill. Well, Jim, what we're saying on this show, twofold here. If there's got to be a vote for the other independent investigation, then get it out there. And if Rangers have got evidence, then let's stand it up. Let's not have bickering on people who are biased or have an agenda against Rangers. Let Rangers provide the evidence. And if there is sufficient strong evidence of wrongdoing, heads will roll. But if not, then we just brush it to the side. What I do believe there needs to be one individual on then a collective who get Rangers and start building bridges. And I include some of the broadcast media in that as well. There needs to be a time where everybody gets together and stops this. I just feel a division. I'm not saying there's an anti-Rangers, because I think Rangers have left themselves wide open the last 3 or 4 years to a lot of people being unhappy with them. But I think it's poisonous, it's negative, and it's certainly not good for our game. I think we all need to come together and build bridges. That's the way you solve problems when people are at war in other countries, and I think we need to do that. And also lots of people just giving us their option on lots of things that we've been talking about with the league and giving us their suggestions on it. And of course, William Armstrong says if Celtic get the title, it will be tainted. It's an opinion. It's as simple as that. Whether you think that or not, if you want our opinion, will it be tainted? I would say no. I think it's a complete nonsense. If they call the league, they call the league. Alison, Roughie, Barry, I don't think it'll be tainted. Scott Brown said over the weekend he doesn't think it'll be tainted. The circumstances prevail. If the SPFL call the league, do you think it'll be tainted, Roughie?
Yeah, I think Celtic will take the championship. I think we'd all agree that they would have won it eventually. And you just have to move on. I think as the days and months go on, it doesn't become... I know it's an issue, Rangers and Celtic supporters, but for the neutrals, I think it's now becoming a nothing. You know, it's just going on every day. It's something else. And yeah, take it, celebrate it, and move on. But you're right, you know, people will put stuff against it, asterisks, thing. But as the years go on, we'll look back on this. And at the end of the day, it's just another title, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's actually going into everyday life, Alison, because Roughie and I were on a Zoom party at the weekend having a quiz, and 25 minutes into it, there was a call for an investigation into the way it was going. I mean, it's just incredible. Roughie didn't want to accept the vote. It's as simple as that. Him and Maggie having about 3 bottles of wine are lying on the park bench, plastered, and wondering why they're sitting in 4th position. and he wanted his Alison to award him the title of quiz winner. I mean, come on, Roughie, you're so far behind, you'll never catch them.
No. I, as I said at the end, I thought the whole quiz should have been null and void.
Honestly, I swear to God, Barry, that's exactly what he said right at the end. Null and void the quiz, and Maggie hand over another bottle of wine. Anyway, apart from anything else, over the last few weeks, and I'll tell you one thing. I mean, fair play to the BBC with the archive material that they have. They've been obviously trying to keep people in Scotland, especially. Entertained, and Sky are doing it to an extent as well. And BT Sport, to their credit, the archive stuff they've got, they're showing games, and you get a chance to wallow in a bit of nostalgia and see, for example, a couple of weeks ago, how good a player Barry Ferguson was in the Rangers side with the captain's armband, scored a raker of a goal in that 3-2 Scottish Cup final. Well, over the weekend, they were showing the game in 1998, Celtic against St Johnstone. Celtic had to win the game to win the league to stop Rangers winning 10 in a row. Some people were getting nostalgic about it, and I thought it was maybe time to catch up with the man who scored the second goal in that game. And earlier I caught up with Harold Bratback. Well, I'm delighted to say we are joined by former Celtic striker Harold Bratback. Harold, first question, are you safe and well? Is your family safe and well?
Yes, everyone around me is safe and well. And strange situation, but everything taken into consideration, we're doing well so far. We are.
Of course, the immediate question is, I am more than aware of the fact that you fly planes. I presume grounded for the foreseeable future.
Yes, I have no idea about when I'm back in the air flying again, but we'll see what happens. I think what decides that is the amount of restrictions that are being lifted in the near future or in the far future. So I have absolutely no idea when I'm back flying, but let's hope it's soon. Let's say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I don't know what happens in Norway, Harold, but over here in the UK, because there's no live football, they're starting to show every memory you could possibly think of from great games of the past. And would you believe this weekend, the game that stopped 10 in a row has been right front and centre. It rolled back the years. Okay. What's your memories of that particular day against St Johnstone?
Huge memories, of course, and good. We had a good season, and obviously when I came in December '97, obviously the green part of the city, we're thinking that this is possible now, and the journey from late December until the beginning of May was just amazing, and obviously the last game. At the end of the season, which was the decider, was it ended up good for us, obviously, and that day was just marvelous. I don't remember how good the game was, but the tension was high, and obviously getting the first goal early to settle the nerves with Henrik, and then getting 2-0 as well at closing into the end, obviously was delightful, and the best day of my footballing career, at least. It was just amazing.
Yeah, I was actually the trackside reporter for Scottish television on that game. I can remember everybody walking around the park at the end, some lucky enough to get their family members onto the field of play. But the one abiding memory is that goal. It's you coming like a steam train, driving forward, just timing the run to perfection. What was going through your head?
I think it was done much by memory and by experience because obviously Boyd is playing pass down to Jackie and he plays a good cross. But I think it all started a little bit earlier when we won the ball and Tommy could get the ball to pass it on to Jackie. So I think what happened then was just doing what we've been practicing every time at sessions. So when the cross came, I just had to try to get a good kick on the ball, a good hit. And I did, and Henrik jumping on my back, the crowd going just ballistic, and yeah, it was just one of these good memories. But I mean, the goal itself was something we've done in practice a lot, and I've done previously as well. So the goal itself wasn't so special, but the circumstances was amazing.
As an outsider, did you quickly sense how important this was to Celtic fans, stopping Rangers winning 10 in a row?
The answer is no. Absolutely no idea how important that was. Even though I was told from the day I came that this year we're being able to stop Rangers from getting 10 in a row. Obviously, knowing that Rangers had 9 in a row is just a feat of itself. I mean, it's so good to win so many league titles in a row. But the importance of stopping them is actually more important than winning 9 in a row. So when we talked about all the games we're going to play and the importance of it, I still cannot believe how important it was. But obviously, being able to talk about one specific game and one specific season, 22 years on, is telling you how big it was.
Do you feel, I know you played for Rosenborg on 2 spells, but is it strange to you that there's still this real warm affection towards, a player like yourself who had 1 season of significance, yet everybody embraces you as if you've been there for 10, 15 years?
I know that's kind of strange actually, because I was back in Glasgow in early January to promote the cup, and I met a few people then that reminded me about this game, and then I was back to watch the Celtic Copenhagen game as well. That was late February, I guess, and it was I mean, so many people come up to me and talk about this. So for me, the memory is not the 2 years I was at Celtic. It looks like it feels like 10 or 15 years, as you say. It does.
Here's a little clip I thought you might like to hear. Jonathan Gould came into our studio, and I was saying to him that I always felt that, Harold Brattbakk at his absolute best was, the ball over the shoulder, you running onto it, because you seem to me an instinctive striker. Here's what Jonathan had to say about you.
Harold would probably be more suited to the style of play played today, just for that reason. 1 striker on his own, you've got 2 wide men, and exactly as you say, playing it in behind, because he was lightning. And the finish, the finish was exceptional. It was a great ball in. You remember, I think, was it Boydie and Jackie? They were just steaming down that side, and that was the moment I think we all knew we'd clinched it.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair to say, and obviously playing to my strengths was what I was doing all my career in all the clubs I've been playing for, and obviously on that day, and we had been playing together for a few months, and I think because I think I was quite smart as a player. I think the only way I could get into the teams that quickly was trying to be tactically smart, and I was playing with so good players that it was easy to get into that style of play. And I think the team we had at that time, with all the players, I mean, Boyd and Jackie is mentioned, but we can mention everyone else in the team as well. We had a good team, and for me, I was able to play to my strengths at so many games that last half of the season. So that's the reason why I was so successful for the first part when I came. So I think Jonathan is right. We play to each other's strength all the time, and that was one of those situations. Yes.
How significant was Vim to you and to the team?
Oh, Wim was amazingly important. He was, for me, it was important because he was the one that wanted me to come to Glasgow and play for Celtic. And I think, I mean, he hadn't seen me. He just got information about me and being a good player and scoring goals. So everything around me coming to Glasgow and play for Celtic was a bit of a mystery for someone. But obviously, he played a monumental part in me getting to Glasgow, and he was a kind of a manager you want to have because he was calm all the time. He did all the right things. He didn't complicate things. He did the sessions. The sessions with him and Murdo were quite easy. Not easy in that sense. It was hard work, but it was good work, and it was easy to understand what he wanted. So definitely even though I had him only as a manager for 5 months, he's absolutely up there with the best managers I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the guy you get on with particularly well? Was there somebody you just warmed to over there?
No, I think I clicked well with all the. If you think about the players and the managers and the teams as such, I think I got on well with everyone. But I mean, I obviously had. I really felt well playing together with Henrik because I think we're quite similar as players. I think so. It was a little bit of a maybe strange for people to see us play together. But I think Henrik, the good player he is, he could play as the target man when I was playing on his shoulder. So I think that made it easy for me as well. But I mean, all the players were good, and there was I can still remember the good atmosphere in the dressing room and the whole team with from everyone till I mean from the players to the physios to the doctors to everyone around the club. It was kind of a big family. I think that makes a difference even today. So I think the good teams we see today, they also have the same feeling if you ask them.
No surprise here in Scotland, Rangers clearly don't want Celtic to win 9 in a row, never mind 10 in a row. That's the big dilemma. The biggest problem we have here, Harold, is similar to much of Europe, which is quite simply, we don't think there's going to be a ball kicked again. How are they going to call the leagues? Should they call the leagues? Should they play them behind closed doors and wait till as long as possible? You know, what's the view in Norway?
Well, at the moment, the view is that we had just that came out just a few days ago that not the federation, but the government said that until the 1st of September, we are not allowed to have arrangements with more than 500 people. So that will definitely shut the door for football. But the federation, I know, have been talking about playing games without people in the stands. So that's one solution. And I think if this, I mean, this is so extraordinary that I think in Norway we haven't started yet, and I think we will start maybe within the next 6 to 8 weeks without people in the stands, and the supporters will need to see the games on the telly because they will obviously be streamed and shown live. But I think also there will be solutions for the leagues in Europe that play from August till May. So even though I don't know the answer, but I think many of the leagues will still try to finish the few games that still are left. But in Norway, we'll wait a few more weeks before we can maybe start kicking a ball again.
Many of us have the financial worries and thinking, will some clubs survive? Is that similar to what's happening in Europe and especially your own country?
Yes, definitely. I think some of the clubs have been have laid off people, both players and staff. But that can only be done for so long because the players need to be staying fairly fit for a quick return if that happens. But obviously the financial situation for all of the clubs in all of Europe is the same. And I think we are lucky in Norway because we have, I think the initial package from the government so far has been £30 million to spend on immediate actions. I think they will give some more after a while. But the problem is that people don't get to go to the games. People don't get to see their teams. And there was someone in Norway, someone said football is not that important. And I agree, football isn't important. But the federation came out and said that, okay, we can obviously call it not important. But the important thing is that there's more than 2 million people in Norway that is affected by not playing football anymore. And it's 2,300 teams that haven't been playing a game. So there is actually so many people that is involved in the football itself that it's important that it gets going again. And that's the same, even though you're in Norway, Scotland, wherever you are, it's important to get started at some point though. But obviously, health and health issues are always playing the most important part. But I think we need to see the other aspects of this situation as well.
Yeah, just finally, Harold, I know you've played with distinction for Rosenborg and a few other clubs as well as Celtic. Are you a nostalgic person? Do you hold on to those strips? Do you have a look at the medals and think, that was great times? Or are you one of those people who thinks, no, I'm an airline pilot now, I'm not looking back?
No, I miss football. I really miss football, and I should have been, if I could, I would have been playing still. But obviously I can't because I'm too old, too slow, too weak. But it was a good time, and I really look back at those years as a footballer as something I wouldn't have done. I mean, I really appreciate it. But I think I maybe have seen one game out of all the games I played in full length after I stopped, because I don't look back at the medals. I don't look back at the shirts. I've got all the shirts. I've got all the medals. I've got all the trophies. But if you ask me where they are, I don't know. They're somewhere in the house, but I don't know where.
Listen, you mentioned there you're old, you're not as strong, you're feeling weaker. That sounds the ideal qualities to come and play five-a-sides with us when you're back in Scotland.
Definitely, I'll definitely do that. I still try to stay fit, so I'll do some five-a-side when I come back, and I hope that will be shortly.
Harold, it's great to speak to you. Best wishes from everybody here in Scotland. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, there you are. Harold Bratback. So he's in for the fives, Fergie. I don't know if you pick him on your side, or I'd have to take him.
No, listen, he was a good player, but funny enough, I missed the game last night. I had a few jobs in the garden I had to do, so I missed it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a keen gardener, absolutely. Brilliant. Okay, a couple of things I want to get. I want to read out a few things with regards to Facebook and YouTube as well. Lots of people offering comments. Just on one other little thing here, Alison. Heart Stars demand free transfers in the summer in return for taking wage cuts. Of course, we are 6 minutes away from the 5 p.m. deadline that Hearts were apparently proposing. Some people might be demanding free transfers. Whether they'll get that or not offhand, Budge, I don't know. This one has proved to be the most difficult and one that's been out in the open for a long while. Hearts, I don't think, have got any real good PR out of this one at all.
No, I don't think so either. I think I have to say there's been so many mixed messages too coming out of the club, but I think it's inevitable that players will demand that their contracts, that they be released from their contracts. I think if the club can come in and impose a 50% wage cut, then I would wonder about the legalities then of being able to negotiate a way out of the deals that they do have. I think it seems inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a couple of little things that we've put together here, guys. We're now at the end, Barry, of our team. We're going to have to select 11 very shortly of all the best players from the 20 years since 2000. So you're going to have to get your thinking caps on. But, Roughie, this is your moment, because here are not necessarily the best. I'm sure somebody will come up with someone else, but we've picked 10 goalkeepers from Scotland, first of all, for you to mull over at the moment. Oh, Roughie. Oh, I'm sure we might have even forgotten someone there, but there's 10. And what are we calling this? The Alan McGregor competition?
I probably Alan McGregor would be in there. Definitely. Oh, no, definitely not hesitation. Craig Gordon would be in there for me, obviously.
Yep.
Jamie Mcdonald might be a surprise one for you. I think Jamie Mcdonald has been a fantastic goalkeeper for most of the clubs he's been at. Interesting that he's going to be out of contract at the end of the season, and I'm sure he won't find it difficult to get a club because I think he's been superb. And the list he put up there, obviously, Rab Douglas has got to come into it as well. Yeah, no, Rab was a good servant with Celtic. But the two front runners for me are obviously Craig and Alan McGregor.
Yeah, I ran into Jamie McDonald. It's a good point you make. I ran into Jamie McDonald a couple of months ago. It's amazing, Barry, for all the good performances. Footballers at times are insecure. You know, he was hoping. Jamie's not an arrogant boy. He was hoping that he maybe get another contract somewhere. I think he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree with Roughie. I always liked him as a goalkeeper. And I was surprised at what happened at Kilmarnock. He got kind of shoved to the side, and he's been out on loan playing at Alloa, and I've seen a couple of the Friday night games in the Championship, and he was still performing at a high level. But I agree with Roughie. I think it's down to two goalkeepers who have both played with international and one at club, Alan McGregor and Craig.
Yeah, interesting stuff. And Ali, you don't need to write down on a slip of paper what one Barry's going to go for, but we'll hang fire till all the votes are in, Ali. Anyway, have a look at the 10. Now, have a look at the 10 foreign goalkeepers. Just noticed that keeper at the end there, Barry. Great if he shook hands with you.
I'll not say nothing.
Oh, I was just waiting on the Darth. I was waiting on the Darth Vader, but it didn't materialise. Anyway, Ali, I don't know about you, but I'm sure some fans out with Celtic and Rangers, and we don't mind getting in the neck for this because we put it out to a vote. But have I forgotten anybody in a foreign sense from the 20 years of goalkeepers?
Not that I can think of, not off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's a tough one, actually. Who would you give in that one? What one springs to mind right away?
I think Klose, for me, would be the standout for that one. And maybe closely followed by Fraser Foster. I also always thought that Antti Niemi was a cracking goalkeeper too.
It's going to be an interesting one. Now, of all those candidates, you can vote on Twitter and, of course, on Facebook as well. Give us your thoughts on Scottish goalkeepers that you would choose, or indeed the foreign goalkeepers that have played in Scotland. We'd love to hear from you. Incidentally, the other thing I would say, and I always like to just go through this, we're going to be looking at some of the English Player of the Year candidates shortly, because obviously they would have had the awards ceremony at the weekend, but it wasn't to be. That's still to come before we go tonight. But just on this, and I always like to try and offer just a modicum of decency to the 99% of people who listen on this programme. And occasionally we do get some people who are sensible and then they just go mental. Alec Kelly says, Rangers bashing is a free-for-all here on PLZ regularly. Alec, you're talking complete and utter nonsense. And I would like to remind you of the fact, if you can, there's actually something you can buy on the Facebook, and you can get it on YouTube and TV companies as well. It's a thing that you get to take wax out of your ear. I don't know if you've seen it, Roughie. It just turns round and it gives you a chance to take wax out of your ear to listen to everything in context. At the start of the show, what we're talking about, this is not a show for Rangers bashing. This is a show to offer our opinion on what is happening in Scottish football, and I don't think anybody on this show is guilty of bashing any club. It's offering an opinion on what is happening. If sometimes it's critical of a Rangers or a Celtic or a Motherwell or a Hearts, or even positive, have a listen in context without making glib, stupid statements. And with that in mind, I always like to appeal to them. Could the bigots please go back to their own club TV or somewhere where the unbelievably poisoned people roam in social media? We like to really big up, Roughie, the people who like football, certainly not bigots and racists and people who come on and spread their poison on Facebook and YouTube. Is it bad for me to actually try and highlight the positive people in this world rather than the dafties who come on and poison it?
Do come out with something positive and it helps Scottish football, they will be applauded. There's no doubt about it. There'll be a pat in the back if there is something out there that is brought to notice, and I'm sure everybody would agree with that. We want to do things right in the game, but we just need to wait and see when it comes out.
Yeah, Freddie Young says, "You're joking, Peter. Look at the comments." I mean, every now and then I just have to actually, highlight some of the lunatics that come on and spread poison at a time when people are dying. And I'll tell you, this disease does not pick on anybody of a particular religion. This one is killing everyone in the human race. And difficult times, we all have to stick together. And football, as I remind everybody, it's a sport. It's nothing about life and death. It's a sport. But to be abusive on here is saddening, to say the very least. It will never change. Bigotry and racism and all that will never go away, because when you get people who are not educated, they will always come on and peddle the madness. But it's always nice to say it. Ali, I always like to highlight, half-decent morals that we all have on this programme.
Indeed. I think those of us who are in social media get a flavour of it with some regularity.
I don't know about you, but by the way, Barry, I would not like to be Tam McManus. I think Tam's lost the plot. He argues with everybody. I mean, honestly,
he's some man.
Can you imagine somebody actually said to Tam, "I think you should go and join the UN"? Can you imagine? Can you imagine him? He'd be picking fights with everybody.
I've actually told my mates to stop texting me things that Tam says or argues in his Twitter. I'm getting, honestly, the guy's unreal. Some boy.
He picks fights everywhere, by the way. And one of the guys, Brian, who kindly donated £25,000 to the NHS, to Barry's charity, and he's going to get the strip. We're going to send it over to him, and he's getting Darren Jackson's cap, incidentally, from Scotland against Austria as a bonus. He knows Barry and he knows Darren. He's a big Rangers fan, and and even he mentioned the madness. He lives in Italy now, and he's well away from the madness that unfolds here. So it's nice that people can come together for the common good. Anyway, on that point, just a couple of things before we finish. English PFA. Here's a look at some of the contenders for the Player of the Year. Roughie, who gets your vote there?
Kevin De Bruyne gets my vote. I know Van Dijk's had a wonderful season, but I think Kevin De Bruyne is absolutely immense, a midfielder of world class, and he would get my vote. Manny would just be behind him. I like him as well, but no, Kevin De Bruyne for me.
Barry?
Sadio Mane. I love watching him, Peter. Unbelievable player. Just top footballer for me.
Yeah, Alison?
Manny for me too. I love his work ethic. I love the way he plays. I love his enthusiasm. I just think he brings so much.
Yeah, okay. I'll go for Virgil and take the flack that comes with it. Anyway, apart from anything else,
I don't think you can give it to a defender.
Hey, shut it.
Don't get about good manners.
Don't get him started, Alison.
I know, listen, I was waiting on Ali. I was waiting on you picking up at that. But do you know what it reminds me of, Ali? When we were sitting there, by the way, and we used to do this on Super Scoreboard on Radio Clyde, and I could hear Andy Walker groaning like Fergie, and he would always say, Roughie, you can't give it to a defender or a goalkeeper. What do they ever do on a park? I thought to myself, there you are, how to be hated by defenders and goalkeepers. Anyway, it's all about opinions. Now, I'm not making this up, Alison. I don't know if you've watched it, but this is a God's honest truth. When you've got kids, you're trying to come up with movies that are family movies that are acceptable and maybe funny and keep the kids entertained. And we all sat down last night to watch, for me, the first time I've watched it in about 30 years, Gregory's Girl. Now, Roughie, I kid you not.
Oh, really?
I mean, honestly, I mean, I actually... Look at
his big smile.
Look at his big smile. Look at your big smile. Roughie, this is the God's honest truth, right? I mean, and this movie was made in 1980, right? And I thought to myself at the time, I can remember watching it at high school, Barry, and I thought, John Gordon Sinclair, no, it's just cool. And I, at the time, was in love with Claire Grogan. I thought she was magnificent. But boy, Roughie, the acting, the acting is ringing in it, isn't it? I mean, it's just mental.
Yeah, but you have to agree, she has got good footballing skills, as you've seen her getting in and out of the corners and that, you know.
Of
and the
course.
header. She must have a really good teacher.
Well, honestly, I swear, and this is why I'm bigging you up, Roughie. I swear to God, Alison, I turned round to my daughter and I said, you'll never guess who gave Dee Hepburn coaching lessons for that movie. And she looked at me and she said, do I know the person? I said, yes, you know him. And I said, it was Roughie who coached her. And she just looked at me and she went, oh, and then went back to her iPad. Never bothered watching. But honestly, I mean, Alison, I don't know if you know that story, but Roughie actually coached Dee Hepburn for Gregory's Girl.
I didn't know that story.
Yep, there you are. All the skills, the keepy uppies, the whole thing. Well, Roughie, you want to add something that we don't know?
No. She was very good. She picked up things very quickly.
It's good to have
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I have to say, she was absolutely superb in it. I don't know about you, Barry. Barry, you might as well just tell us, who was your pop hero when you were younger? I got the chance 2 or 3 years ago to work with Claire Grogan, and she looked fantastic.
My pop hero, Peter, see, to be honest with you, I was never into music when I was younger. I'll be honest with you, never into music.
Nobody that you idolised that was in a band? No? Wow. No surprise you've got a grey background behind you there.
Yeah. Can I throw...
Listen, do you want to know who my top women is?
Tell us, Barry. Yes.
Liz Hurley. Liz Hurley's the one.
Liz Hurley. Well,
she's the one.
See, you've got to have a
That
hero.
dress,
Alison. Yeah, that dress. That's exactly what I was thinking, Ali. That dress, Barry, with the gold bits in it. Alison, did you have a guy who was in a pop band you thought, oh, I love him?
No, none that I'd be willing to confess to.
Come on, Ali. Come on. Have you got one? I know you've had a few.
You're giving Ali pelters.
Hey, I'm giving her pelters right now.
It was the first album I ever bought.
I thought you were going to say Fergal Sharkey. I thought he was magnificent.
You've got to go for Blondie. Blondie at her height was fantastic.
Oh, Debbie Harry, good shout, Roughie. Good shout. Honestly, that's why Roughie. That's why you and I are together. By the way, you know, just contributing. Those two reluctant. It's unbelievable. Anyway, apart from anything else, I thoroughly enjoyed the content from Harold Bratbag. He was a great guest, an absolute gentleman, and of course now an airline pilot, which is a lesson to everyone, Barry. You know, after football, there's got to be a life. You've got to do something. The PFA in England and in Scotland here as well always emphasise to people, there's got to be something after you play football.
Yeah, but I seen a bit on TV. Gary Neville had mentioned that a lot of players are going to be start doing maybe online courses. So it's a great idea, Peter, because it's a short career. It's not made out that people think that every player's millionaires. It's the top end. Below that, people need to work after football, and I'm sure a lot of players in the lower divisions are doing online courses and try to think about their future after football.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have indeed, don't forget to like, share, and follow us. Worst moment there. I was just about to say, if you have enjoyed the programme, then don't forget to like, share, and follow on our Facebook page. If you are a football fan, then by all means, come on and talk football. We'd love to have you on board. Tell your friends, share the programme. And if you're on YouTube, all you have to do is subscribe. You can get it on your television. You go on your Sky, go down to your apps, hit YouTube. And there we are in full colour, in a perfect picture on your YouTube channel as well, PLZ Soccer. And if you subscribe, you get all the wonderful content, people picking their dream teams and lots of other features, people remembering their favourite games as well. And some good one-to-ones, Roughie. We've had some right good one-to-ones in the 8 years that we've been together. Some good laughs. Your old gaffer, Bertie Auld, springs to mind.
Yeah, and you don't have to be of the younger brigade or the older brigade. There's something for everybody, right, as you said, right through the years. And so a lot of them absolutely hysterical. You touched on wee Bertie there, but he was a classic. But there were other classics as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, tomorrow, Kevin Thompson, hopefully of Rangers, once Barry gives him the old heave-ho and gets him on, Kevin Thompson will join us as our special guest tomorrow on the programme to talk about his career as well as some of the pertinent points that are happening in Scottish football. And then maybe next week we'll do our best to get Fergal Sharkey and Liz Hurley on the show to see what they've got to offer us. We won't get Dee Hepburn on for obvious reasons because don't want to get Roughie too excited about it all. Anyway, apart from anything else, from Barry, from Ali, and from Roughie and myself, Peter Martin, thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.